Over the last 20 years, I've negotiated literally thousands of software-related agreements. We typically see certain red flags during the contract negotiation process, and I want to talk about some of those red flags today. My name is Marcus Harris. I'm a software and technology attorney. I focus my practice on drafting, negotiating software-related contracts, and litigating failed software disputes in courts across the country. So when you're negotiating with a software vendor, there are a variety of problems and red flags that you need to be aware of. And if you see any of these, it really does suggest that the negotiation process is probably going to be drawn out and more difficult than it needs to be. One of the goals in the contract negotiation process is really to get to decision makers quickly. Some of these large vendors have multiple layers of contract negotiators, and the likelihood that you're going to get to a decision maker, at least early on in the process, is not always guaranteed. And I think if you are really trying to get concessions to be efficient and to get the contract negotiation process finalized efficiently and quickly, you're going to want to get to those decision makers quickly. A lot of times the people that you're dealing with, the contract negotiation specialists or the lower level employees, are only empowered to say no. And it really is to your advantage to get to those people that can say yes quickly. If the contract or the salespeople are indicating to you that the product is an out-of-the-box, off-the-shelf solution that contains industry best practices, you need to take a step back and really evaluate what you're being told and what they are trying to sell you. There is no silver bullet in the technology industry, and anybody that is telling you that their software solution is the be-all and end-all to solve your problems is probably selling you a bill of goods. If the software vendor or the software salespeople are representing to you that the software implementation process is going to be quick, painless, and is not going to be that expensive, again, you need to take all of that with a grain of salt, because that simply isn't the case. If you're seeing contractual language in a statement of work, for example, or some other contract that really tends to accelerate timelines and minimize the cost and the complexity of the implementation or integration of that software product, you really need to start asking substantive questions. And I think that's a substantive red flag that really is an indication that you're getting in over your head. One of the problems that we see on a continual basis from larger software vendors that have certain reputations for being difficult in the industry is really a shifting of all of the business risk of that transaction to the customer. So there is virtually no negotiation, and there's a pushback on any kind of reasonable concession that you're asking for. And if you're encountering that, I think you're really going to be in for a rough time, and that contract negotiation process is going to be a lot more expensive and take a lot longer than it normally should. Hand in hand with that goes an inflexibility of that software vendor to negotiate key points in the contract. If you're being told that the contract is non-negotiable, you have a problem. All contracts are negotiable, and really it's a matter of leverage. Certainly, the more money you spend and the longer the term that you're agreeing to utilize that software, the more leverage you're going to have. But if you're encountering inflexibility on the part of the vendor, it really is a red flag, and it really does indicate that this may not be the software vendor for you. If you have any questions about any of these points in this video, feel free to reach out to us at taflaw.com. We'd love to talk to you about the contract negotiation process, take a look at your contract, and let you know what the lay of the land is and what you're looking to get into.